Okay. Good evening, everybody. I trust that you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, Prof.
That's right.
Yes, Prof. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good
Okay.
evening, Prof.
Yes, good evening. I hope you are all doing well.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
And yourself, Prof.
We are managing.
Thank God.
We are managing seriously. I think the pressure is coming down small as the semester is getting to an end. Okay. The purpose of our meeting this evening is to spend an hour or so to at least discuss few issues, particularly to complete the topic I was treating the other day, and also make the floor open for questions, comments, suggestions, and maybe the way forward. So feel free to ask questions, make suggestions. Since today, at least, is the last day of this class, and after today, if you don't ask your questions or clarifications, then so be it. All right. We will not be here for long. As I said, an hour, maximum 1.5 hours. We should be fine. Okay. So I'll go straight to show you a few things pertaining to what we were discussing the other day. Not too many of you are here at the moment. I believe some students still believe in is it African time or whatever name they call it. I don't believe in African time. If it is 7 o'clock, it is 7 o'clock. The clock we use in Africa is not different from the clock that is used across. So there is nothing like African time. Well, that said, let me open this document and
Hello,
this document.
manager. Good evening. Hello.
So,
Yes, please.
Please mute yourself.
Yes, that's
everybody should
why I didn't
mute.
even see that you changed the meeting time.
Everybody should mute himself. It's very important.
You just came to the place now. A few days within the day.
Okay. But before we actually continue, if you have something in your mind you want to say or question regarding what we did last week, you should say it now, and then we take it from there. Okay. All right. So let me show you this. I can clearly that the last time we met, we discussed dimensional modeling, which pertains to data warehousing. We talk a lot about the fact table and what is supposed to be in the fact table. We said the fact table will contain numeric measurements. Then also the primary keys of the dimension tables. All right, the dimension tables will contain qualifying information regarding the facts or the degree to which the facts can be judged. So that was what we said, and we looked at various schemas of dimensional modeling. In order to refresh our minds, I would be glad if a student can tell us the three schemas that we discussed the other day. The three schemas of dimension models that we discussed the other day. Anybody at all can help.
So, Prof,
Yes.
you spoke about the star schema, the snowflake, and then the galaxy.
Oh, thank you. Wilberforce, thanks so much. That is what I spoke about. So having remembered that, I will just move on from there. So this is an example of the star schema. Can you view my screen from your end?
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
So, you know, in entity relationship that we learned some time ago, after doing this, the design, drawing the entity relationship diagram, you begin to practically, physically create the tables. It is the same here. So once we are able to do this and we get our schema, this is a star schema, we can then go ahead and use queries. Here we are coming to use data mining queries to be able to create these tables, the fact and then the dimension tables. So this is an example of the star, one fact table, several dimension tables. Each dimension table links directly to the fact table. We saw the the snowflake where some elements of normalization has been introduced. So again, we have one fact table, several dimension tables, and some dimension tables are linked to another dimension table where that major or parent dimension table has child tables. And then it was brought about by through normalization. So you will see here that not all the dimension tables are linked directly to the fact table, but some are linked to their parent tables before the parent tables are linked to the fact table. Of course, as you should expect to be able to link the tables, dimension tables must have their primary key imposed on the fact table. And when we have the aspect of normalization, we will also have the child table having its primary key imposed on the parent table. That's why we can see all this when we have location ID. Location ID being a primary key here is imposed on the dimension table here as a foreign key. I think we saw this last time, but it's just by way of, so to speak, a review, which I believe is necessary to understand today's class. Okay. Now, the galaxy means that we have more than one fact table, several dimension tables. Dimension tables, as usual, are linked to the fact table. So in this example, we have two fact tables, revenue and product. So you can even, if you even see that some dimension tables are linked to both fact tables. So these are the things we talked about the other day. And I moved on to start looking at online analytical processing. And that's where we ended it. Last week when we met, or the last class, we didn't discuss how or which commands can be used to create these tables. But I'll throw some light into it. Then maybe later on in life or even now in your organizations, if you are coming to work on things of this nature, then you wouldn't have a problem because you are already familiar or at least theoretically understand the design and the queries as usual. What you will need at that time will be the environment, the data warehouse environment where you can then create the tables and move on from there. Having said all this, I would pause for a while. If for whatever reason you still do not understand or you want further clarification on what I have just said, you can do so before we continue. Okay, so I would then introduce.
Hello, Prof.
Yes.
I wanted to know, doesn't the snowflake defeat the objective of data warehouse? Because the snowflake try to normalize in order to remove redundant data, but then data warehouse accept redundancy. Doesn't defeat the objective of data warehouse.
The redundancy introduced in the snowflake is minimal. The issue is with the fact that several data warehouse architectures still have underlying relational databases. So the Snowflake is developed to handle such systems. So the actual, so to speak, the actual schemas that are for data warehousing, so to speak, are the Star and Galaxy. But because at the back end, some databases still have some elements of relational databases, that schema was also developed to address that. But then even the level of or the degree of redundancy is minimal, such that if it is not minimal, then we are going to have a problem with retrieval again, because the joining tables and retrieve will defeat the purpose. But it's very minimal, but with a purpose of addressing the back office relational systems. So fine, we can say it has defeated the purpose, but it's minimal. One is not expected to use it by all means. You can develop your schema and avoid that redundancy if you know for sure that the data is so huge and it would affect the performance of your data warehousing. Okay. I hope
Okay,
that
thank
helps.
you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other concern before we look at the queries that are supposed to be used? Okay, so now let's take a look at the queries. Some of the queries are many, but I am introducing you to some of them. In actual fact, this time around, I believe that some of these you can even learn them on your own. But that may me just introduce you to them, and then we'll see. So the multi-dimensional schema, which is basically the dimensional modeling we are talking about, uses data mining query language. So we have MQL language, data mining query language, to just as we had the so-called SQL to manage relational databases. Here we have data mining query language to manage dimensional models. And first, we want to look at how we can use the query language to, so to speak, create our tables, the fact table, and then the dimension table. That's the definition. The definition, how we can define the tables within the data warehouse or data max. So this is the general syntax. First, for the, the two classes of tables that we have in dimensional modeling are the star and then the dimension tables. So we have language or queries that we can use to deal with them. So for the fact table, we use this query, define cube, then the name of the fact table. Then we put the dimension list here. Then we put the numeric measurement over here. So we have defined, then you say keep the name, then we begin to list how do you call it, dimension list, then the numeric measurement. When it comes to the dimension tables, we also use a similar query. we say define dimension. Then we have dimension name. Then we say as. Then we now put the attribute list over here. So I will show you, we will take each of the schemas, and then we will briefly look at how the queries will look like when defining the tables. So when you look at this schema, no doubt this is a star schema having one fact table known as sales. Then we have dimension tables, item, location, branch, and time with their attribute names. Of course, in the sales table, we have numeric measurements, 2 items there, dollar sold and dollars sold and units sold. Then we have a tall list of foreign keys also here. So how do we create this table? So an example of how we can create this table is, let's deal with the sales table first, which is the fact table. So we can say define cube sales star, because we are creating what? Star schema. We are dealing with star schema, so we'll say star. Then look at the foreign keys. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have time key, item key, branch key, location. Then we say column. Now we want the numeric measurements. Numeric dollar sold, we could define it by dollar sold, called the sum of sales in dollars. The units sold is we can count all the values within the units sold. Okay, so this is an example of how we can create the sales fact table. Dealing with the dimension tables are quite easier. So we can now come and take, let's say, time. So we have here time dimension. So we'll say define dimension time as, this is a primary key, day of week, month, and so forth. You can study these details about how we can introduce some bit of constraints into it, that I'm giving you the idea as to how this is done. Then we take the item, we do the same for item. Define dimension item as, you can add constraints, some constraints to it if you so wish, of course, for primary keys and others. Then we have branch. Then we leave the define dimension branch as. We do the same for location. Okay, so you can see that it's quite not, it's just not difficult at all. Now let me pause for a moment to take some questions or clarifications that the class may pose. Anybody who has something can raise it. Okay. Now, similarly, let's take the snowflake. I think this is a snowflake where we have some element of normalization here. In any case, can you see my mouse moving on the screen so that when I'm pointing to things, you can actually understand what I'm saying? Is the mouse moving?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So here you will see some aspect of normalization here. You see normalization also over here. Here too, we have one fact table where there is no freak. So to create it is still the same. Define cube. This time around, you are defining no star, but it's no freak. You list the items which are the items of the natural facts. These are the keys which you may need to write in full. And so forth and so forth. Then you now come to the dollar sold. Then we say sum of dollars. Here we can sum, we can add the unit sold with a count. What do you call it? The aggregate commands. So we use sum and count over here to put the totals there. Okay, so here it goes on like that. You want to create the time dimension. But when we come to create the item dimension, you see that there is a little bit of problem. If you observe very well, you will see that this item dimension has a child table. This. So when we are creating this, we will need to take care of the child table as well. Therefore, look at that, while that one is handled. We define dimension item as item key, item name, item key, item name, brand, type. So when we reach type, we realize that supplier key is a foreign key. But there is a table known as supplier, which is a child table. So this is how we handle it. You bring in the child table, then you open a bracket within the bracket, then you put in the supplier key, which is from the supplier table, and of course the supplier type also from the supplier table. So with this in mind, we can do this also very easily. We can do this easily and so forth. So we go on and then we do the same for this. Also has a child table location. I think so. So we will define location key, street, then city key becomes a foreign key to the primary key in city dimension. So when we get there, we bring in the city as the child table, then we put in the city key, city, province, and country. So when you observe this carefully, you will notice that it's not a difficult thing at all. I can again pause here for a moment if you want to ask a question. Definitely, I'll be asking you questions when you go along. But if you have a question, you can ask me now. Now, the next schema we want to see and the corresponding commands is this. This one is definitely, what do we call it, the galaxy, where we have two fact tables. We have fact table, sales fact table, shipping. So it's also very straightforward to create. The galaxy schema is actually again looked at as a star schema. But just that in this case, we have more than two fact tables. So when we are creating it, when we are creating the, what do we call it? When we are creating the fact table, we are again will say star. Then we follow the same way Then we can create all the dimensions. When we are creating the shipping, remember, is also star, because it is a cube, of course, because it's a fact table. Fact tables go with cube. Then dimension tables go with dimension, and so forth, and so forth. This brings us, or this is bringing us to the end of the schemas and samples of appropriate commands that are used to create those tables. Should you have any question on that? Of course, that's why I'm here. You can ask me before we continue. Okay, yes, there is a hand up. Please do ask your question. You can ask your question now, the hand that is up. Maybe he's speaking, but I can't hear anything.
He's still muted.
The person is muted and he's
Yes,
speaking.
please.
Yeah, Prof.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, Prof. Yes, are we going to have the slide for this very one?
The slide.
Yes, so that we can go over and practice.
I posted it already the other day when we were
Okay.
supposed to have the class on
Okay.
last Thursday. I said that I was posting all the material so that you can be reading in advance. So it should be there, but somebody can cross check and confirm before the session ends, so that
Okay.
if it is not there, I can post it.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So that brings us to the end of schemas and their corresponding sample queries that you can use. Those who are or will be involved in projects of this nature in the future, you already know where you will find yourself one day. Those who will find yourselves in an environment where you will need to work with this, at least this gives you a good understanding, and what will be left is to a little bit of research and diving into the data warehouse platforms and then get things done. Now, the second thing we'll look at today will be the online analytical processing. We have actually discussed about, I think I mentioned about four of them. The first one is the relational online analytical processing, normally known as roll-up. Then we have multidimensional online analytical processing, known as MOLAP. Then we have hybrid roll-up, and then specialized queries, that customized specialized queries that we can also use. I, in fact, talk about each of them. I remember talk about each of them already. We're looking at the online analytical processing operations, the operations that things that we mentioned over here can do, things it can do, the online analytical process, what can they do on the data? How can they present the data? What kind of queries can they generate and present the data in different ways? They can do roll up, drill down, slice, and dice. They can also pivot. Pivot is generally rotate. Okay, so we talked about roll up. Roll up generally has to do with climbing up the concept hierarchy for a dimension. You recollect that I told you that in dimension tables, some of the dimensional tables, the items may be in hierarchy. So we saw even an example like a day. We look out for the grain, the smallest, maybe the smallest would organize is day. Then we have weekly, maybe monthly, quarterly. So when you see, you begin to realize that they are presented in hierarchies. So once we have items or dimension tables presented in hierarchies, then if data is presented on daily basis, we should be able to use a query to find or aggregate the data in such a manner that we can find weekly or monthly or and so forth to even yearly. So once we begin from the smallest in hierarchy and then we move to the biggest, maybe to weekly and so forth, we are saying that we are rolling up. We are climbing the concept hierarchy of the dimension. So the online analytical processing engine can do that. The reverse is a drill down. You can also, if we are the concept hierarchy, the upper level, we can drill down from monthly to weekly or even to daily. We can also use what we call slice. That means we can cut portion of the cube. We can cut some segment or number of rows and columns from the dimension. Or we can pivot by rotating the data. Okay. So having said this, we can maybe look at some illustrations that I showed you the other day. Then after showing these illustrations, we will now come and look at the data mining queries that can be used when we are drilling up or, we are rolling up or drilling down and so forth. And then look at those queries. Clearly, when you look at this, you will see segments of the tables presented on the cube. You see, we have time here, but on the time dimension, we have quarterly. When you look at this, they are quarterly. When you look at locations dimension, we are using only one attribute, the countries. When we look at the item dimension, we pick types. In fact, you can see all this over here. Location dimension, we choose countries. Item dimension, we choose type. So this is what do we call the schema. Okay, now on the branch we have all this. Then we have time dimension. So you will see that with just what we are seeing here, look at the tables involved. We have time, item, location. Then we put the values on it. So look at this. So we have location, we pick countries, location, we pick countries or country as the attribute. Items, we pick type. Time, we pick quarterly. So we try to represent it in the form of a cube here. And then since it's multi-dimensional, so here this gives us multi-dimensional. And you can see it here also. Look at this very carefully. For locations, we have certain cities listed there. then the time quarterly, the item, mobile, modem, phone, security, and some values are the intersections of these three dimensions: locations, time, and items. Locations, and we put the value. These values represent the the dollar sold or unit sold. Okay. Now, if we have it this way, and then we say we want to roll up on location, so the rolling up is on location. But this time over here, it has been represented in, what do we call it, cities. We want to roll it up to the higher hierarchy of the concept hierarchy. We want to roll up to country. So if you want to do it in countries, then we will need to be looking through the items over here and do some kind of summation. Of course, we all know that Chicago and New York are in USA, Toronto and Vancouver are in Canada. So when we roll back on countries, you see that these two, Chicago and New York, will be summed. Toronto and Vancouver will also be summed. So it will give us this. So you will see that Canada will, USA will become 2,000. Comes about by adding 440 plus 1560. Then Canada will become 1,000 because we have added Toronto and Vancouver together. So we'll get something like this. So this is an example of a rule. In actual fact, this only demonstrates what we want to do, but we can now issue a query to do something like this to roll it up. You see the main idea, the reason why we develop data warehousing systems. You remember, we do it in favor of decision making. Everything is about decision making. So we should have a way that we can be able to roll up and roll down and see what sales or whatever quantities have been sold in certain time periods or in certain cities or in certain regions, and then or based on states or regions or continents and so on. So we should be able to be rolling up and drilling down and so forth, so that decisions can, or some insights can be discovered from the data. Then certain decisions can be made. Having said that, I will not talk about the query now. Let's finish with the the, the, the examples we have here. Here we present the same. So here we are having the same dimensional models with the fact table here with the figures. And then we decided to drill down on time from quarterly to monthly. So you see that quarterly here, if you are drilling down to monthly, it's going to be January, February, March, and so forth. So you see that this 650 here will now have to be split according to January, February, March. Then if there was some value here, also have to split and so forth and so forth. So when we drill down, the time dimension will become January to December. This 650 would have to be broken down, where we can see an example of this. This 400, look at the way it has been 150, 100, and 150. If you sum, it gives you the 400. Of course, the 605 can also be broken down to fill the 3 cells over January, February, March. So this is a drill down operation. I can probably pause here for a moment and take some questions if there are some. If there are no questions, Then we should be moving on. Okay, it doesn't appear that we have any question. So let's move on to this is the slice. We select one particular dimension from a given cube. So we select one particular dimension. So we can see here now we want to slice for time dimension. And then the time dimension should be ⅓. So that means we are picking this ⅓, one dimension. So when we pick that dimension, it will give us this. So we cut one face, and then we will get here 605 and all that. It's because we are dealing with just ⅓. Okay, so that's an example of slice. The dice is that we will select 2 or more dimensions from a given cube. So now we may select, not only take only one particular dimension, but we will select 1 or 2. So here we come here and we dice. So here this is the cube as a whole. We want to dice for location, which is Toronto and Vancouver, and time, which is ⅓1 and ⅓2. So now we'll choose ⅓1 and ⅓2, and then we'll choose Toronto and Vancouver. So we are going to cut this bit of the cube. It also remains a cube after it. So we move in this way, ⅓1, ⅓2, Vancouver, and this. So that is what we will get when we perform the dice operation. Then the final one, pivot, is quite easy. It's just a matter of rotate. So if we have the data, this one we can dice or pivot and rotate it. It can give us, you can rotate by various degrees. When you rotate, it can give us something like this. The column may, vertical column may become a row or whatsoever. So that brings us to the end of understanding the theoretical understanding behind how the online analytical processing operations are performed. Now, let us take a look at the commands. The general statements that we use to perform the queries are what we are seeing here. We will say select. In actual fact, here, I don't want to use only the keyword sum, but it could be aggregate functions. So we say select levels. Then let me put it there like so that we can understand. Aggregate. So select levels, some aggregate function from fact table. Take note of that. We are selecting from fact table joined with one or more dimension tables. Then we have the where condition side, where we can join the 2 tables. Then group by. The levels here will correspond with the levels here because this is the attribute. Okay, so bearing in mind, you select levels, aggregate function, it can be sum, average, or whatever. From fact table, joined by dimension tables, some conditions, then group by. Okay, having seen the, what do we call it, the general formula will be a good idea to then look at some practical data and then put the query on it. Then I will then ask you to look at one and tell me what it will give us. Okay, so let me put the general command here again. Okay, I'm sure you can all view this diagram here, these tables. In this table or set of tables, how many dimensional or dimension tables do we have? Take a look at it and tell me how many dimension tables do we have?
Prof,
Three,
three.
please.
They have how many?
Three.
Please.
There are three.
Exactly. There are three. And then you can see the fact table.
Yes.
The fact table is what?
Is a
Sales.
sales.
Oh,
Sales.
sales. That's right. So if you observe this set of tables very well, you will notice one thing. You will notice the concept that we have, the schemas and all that we have talked about, you will see them. Because look at, for instance, the book dimension table. You will see its primary key now imposed on the sales table. You will see it here. So you see that book IDs here are unique. But when you come to the fact table, they even duplicate because there is a foreign key. Now, similarly, when you look at shop dimension, the shop ID is also showing here in the fact table as the sale, the fact table, which is sales. Here they are unique, but here they are foreign keys. And you will see a similar thing over here. You see a similar thing over here, where we have the day, and then you also have this over here. Okay, having said so, we would want to issue a command that can perform certain online analytical processing and fetch some data from these tables based on the data mining query language. So here we want to write a query to determine how sales are distributed across genres. You will see this genre in the books table. The book table, this is a genre. So we want to see how sales are distributed across genre. And this is a sales table. So immediately it tells you that this table and that table will be involved. These two tables will be involved in the query. Then you also would want to be looking at, before I can join the two tables, I will need the primary key and foreign key. So we'll need the primary key and the foreign book ID and book ID. We want to be able to see sales as they are distributed by cooking and children's books. That's the genre. So how do we write the query? Now let's come back to, we have select levels, sum, fact table, join with dimension table, certain conditions, group by. So I will give you this first one. So you analyze it and understand it. Because on this diagram alone, I can ask more than 100 questions. Some of them may even involve joining 3 or tables or 2 tables and so forth. So let us understand this. So the first one, the levels are drawn from the dimension tables. So we have, they say how sales are distributed across genre. So we say select genre, which is here. Then we want to see the prices because we see sales. We want to see the the prices of sales based on genre. We will select from the fact table sales, join to dimension tables book, because book is the dimension table. Then, of course, this side should be easy for us. Primary key, foreign key, joining. Sales dot book ID equals to, or join to books dot book ID. So that helps us to join the primary key, foreign key here, helps us to join the two tables. Group by hot, the level, which is this, the genre. So that's solves the problem. So this query would pull each of the genres here, cooking and children books, and then give us the total against each of them. So it will pick cooking, then you give us the site to draw the sums from here. Then it will pick children's books, it will pull the values from here. In fact, even with this query and you look on this very carefully, you should be able to tell me the outcome or the results that this query will give. Maybe we'll be moving there to look at that. When you look at this query and I ask you what will be the prices for cooking, what will be the price for, or the prices for children's books, you should be able to give me the output from this program. Okay, I know most of you will be figuring things out, and for that matter, I will need to pause a bit for you to assimilate what is going on here. So I'll give you a little bit of time to ask me a few questions, and those who are not ready to ask questions, they can assimilate what is going on. So any question? Okay. Okay.
Hello, Prof.
It means, Prince. Okay, sure.
Yes, please. I wanted to find out. It's more like a clarity that I want. They asked for sales and I think the slide is off.
It should be back, is that not?
Yes, please, it's back now. But then I see in the query they are bringing book as part of the query. So I wanted to know why we have the book as part of it, even though it wasn't mentioned in the question.
Okay, so let's go back to the question. Write a query to determine how sales are distributed across genres. This genre can be found in the books table, books dimension table. Here is it. Prince, are you understand?
Okay.
The genre is found in the book table.
It's
Yeah,
not
as
the
an
book.
attribute. As an attribute.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other? Please feel free to get this and understand this once and for all. Okay.
Good evening,
Any
Prof.
other?
Please,
Good evening.
please, this one I want to draw you back a bit. The 6 and then the 3, the dimension table. I didn't know how they had the 6 and the 3.
Which one is 6 and 3?
There was a question you asked about the dimension and then the sales.
Maybe somebody can clarify. I don't know exactly what we are talking about. But the question that I asked, how many dimension tables are here? Is that the one we are talking about?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, but you can see they are even written under it. Book dimension table, shop dimension table, time dimension table, then sales fact table. So here we have 4 tables in all. 3 of them are dimension tables.
Oh,
Then
okay.
this sales, that's a fact table. And in actual fact, if they are not even written there, you should be able to determine which one or which ones are fact tables and then which ones are dimension tables. You should be able. What do you think will help you to be able to determine if they are not even written down there? How will you determine the fact table? Anybody, not him per se, anybody. How will you identify?
And Prof, the fact
Prof, come again.
table usually represents numeric measurement.
Yes, that's
And
one.
the
Is that fortune or gifty?
is gifty.
Gifty, yeah. As for gifty, you and
Yes,
fortune,
sir.
you have to get some extra marks, so because you contribute a lot to class. Wilberforce, are you there?
Yes, please, Prof.
Some of you contribute. Others have been quiet. Those that have been quiet may not even probably know them, but maybe second semester will meet. When we come second semester, I'll be meeting. Most appropriately, maybe on what do we call this? In one of the most important courses. Again, I think that will be advanced distributed systems or something.
Distributed system.
Okay. Okay, so Gifty said that you can use the, what did you say we will use to look at it? Numeric measurements. Okay.
Yes, Prof.
Apart from that, what else can we use to determine the fact table?
The fact table we have.
Okay, so
we have the the
fact table also could.
Too many people at the same time.
Because Erasmus was speaking.
Erasmus, speak on. You also have to obtain some bonus marks because you have contributed a lot in this class. Okay, continue.
Yeah, I was saying that the fact table has always the foreign key for the dimensional.
Exactly. So that's what I'm expecting to hear also. So you will see that once I'm seeing a table and I'm seeing the foreign keys in another table, I can easily identify the fact table. Okay, so let's back to the query that selects sales across January, which we issued this command. When we say this command will do the job. Okay, any question on the understanding of the query before I'll move on to ask you what values will it retrieve? This query retrieve. You know, data warehousing is all about retrieval of records. And if you don't have any issue with this, then we'll move on. But remember, this syntax should be at the back of your head. That the levels, the I-grade function, the fact table together with dimension table. So it means that we can have one fact table, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 dimension tables here. Then we will have the query clauses where we could join tables. Then we can have the levels. These levels will normally correspond to the levels here because that's the grouping factor. Okay. Any question on this? Then I'm going to ask you that you should trace what values will be displayed here. Of course, 2 columns will be generated because we select January and sum of price. So 2 columns will be generated. So, and then some number of rows will also pop up. I want somebody to tell me the number of rows that he thinks or she thinks will be generated from this query. Number of rows first, then we'll come to the values that each of the rows will be made up of. Anybody?
So I think 2 rows will be generated.
The first row will come with which names?
With cooking.
Cooking and
the second one will come with children's book.
okay. Do everybody agree that 2 rows will be generated?
Prof, I think I agree with him.
Exactly, 2
I also
rows will be
agree with you.
generated. Oh, that's right. That's right. Those who disagree may be quiet.
But Prof,
If you disagree, you can still say that I disagree with him.
Prof,
Yes.
so the price too will come on because we are selecting the sales and then we are summing the price.
But we are first talking about, we first said that 2 columns will be generated, January, and then another heading, sum of price. But we now narrow down. We now narrow down to say how many rows will be generated.
Okay. The rows
Then
will
we
be
say
2.
There should be 2. And then we mention the values, and the values under the rows will be cooking and children's books. We are now coming to see the values that will show under each of these or against cooking, and what will be the total price for cooking, what will be the total price for children's books. So that is the next thing we are coming to look at. And that one, I believe, is going to be a struggle for some of you. So now tell me, when you look at the prices over here, we have 30, 20, 20, 40, 20. So these are going to be summed in such a manner that some will go to cooking, others will go to children's books. So now tell me, what will be the total price for cooking? Then you tell me also what will be the total for children's book.
So, Prof, for the cooking, it will be 50. And then for the children's book, it will be 160.
How do you do that calculation?
So I check the book ID number in the sales table. That's the fact table. Then I check the count too. So if you take the cooking.
Your procedure appears to be correct, but your totals the totals that you are getting is a bit.
The cooking will be 40.
The cooking will be 40. How do you get the 40?
I think from the sales table, we have some records that correspond to that cooking ID.
The foreign ID, okay.
Yes, please. So I added those prices.
What are they? Mention them.
20 and okay. The ID is 7493.
7493 appears here only twice.
Only twice.
And then the corresponding values are 2020.
2020.
So it gives us for cooking 40.
Yes, it's 40.
Now let's come to the next one. Children's books is 94. That one will be 160. That one will be what? 160?
90.
Oh, 90.
It will be 90. It will be
90.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's take it easy. Okay, it will be 90. It will be 90. Okay. It appears the understanding has come or is coming.
But Prof, the count, you have to multiply it by the count, oh?
No, we are not dealing with the count at all at this stage. Count is just merely the number of items. We are not dealing with the count at this. We are only summing the price here. Okay. And you want to see you multiply it by the number of items and then you put this. Okay. I understand
Prof,
where you are coming from.
I need clarity here, because I think it's the two, when you take the children's book like it is the two that gives you the what do you call the $30, you know. It's not one, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So it's not the unit price, so to speak. Okay. Now, let us go and ask another question. Now we want to work with another query. We want to write a query to determine how sales are distributed across cities. So first, which two tables, or which tables, not necessarily two, which tables are involved in this?
I think the sales and the shop.
It should be sales and shop.
Sales and shop, yes.
Okay, because in the shop table you have the cities.
Cities.
Okay. Now, how would the query read?
So the query will read: select city, comma, some price from sales city where sales ID is equal to shop ID, group by city.
Okay, so it will be sales dot shop ID.
Shop ID.
It's called to sales dot shop ID here also. Okay, I think that should be correct. So it's going to read this way. So this will be, then here will be shop, if I'm not mistaken. Then this place will be shop ID. Then it will be grouped by cities. Do you agree with this solution? Any alternative solution, or probably you think is not correct?
From the where clause, the book dot shop ID. It should not
So
be shop.
that should be shop.
Shop,
Yes.
I think that's the problem when you are copying and pasting. Okay. Any other issue with this? All right. I hope with those two examples, you all understand what is going on over here. I'm going to give you the last one that will involve more than two tables. So that one, let's write it this way. We want to find how sales are distributed across cities and genres. Okay. Maybe somebody should help us, or all of you should analyze it and suggest how that one will work out. We want to find now involving more than two tables. Which tables are going to be involved here in the first place? Anybody?
Yes, we are going to have a city table,
Sales and shop.
sales and shop.
We don't have city table here.
Hey, shop, sales and
Book.
and then book.
Okay,
Shop,
that should be it.
book,
Sales
and then sales.
Okay. So now the query will be what?
To be shop, books, and sales.
Tell me now the query. Select city column, comma, genre,
comma, some price.
Genre, some price.
From sales.
From sales.
From sales, comma,
city.
I'm afraid.
Comma, January.
January is not a table name.
No.
Hey. Shop.
Book and
Shop.
shop.
Shop and what?
Book.
Book, exactly. Where? That's where the worry is now. They are going to join this table to this table to this to this to this.
So where sales? Yes.
Sales.
Sales dot shop ID equal to shop dot shop ID and
sales. Okay, shop ID is equal to
shop dot shop ID and
it's equal to okay shop dot shop ID and
sales dot book ID equal to book dot book ID.
Sales dot
book ID
equals to
book dot book ID.
Book dot book ID, then group by what?
Group by city and
Januaries.
City
and Januaries.
We are done. We are done. Any question, anybody? I'm sure at least the systematic way we've approached this, I'm sure all of you or most of you understand this. If you don't understand it, you still have a lot of time. Study and know it before exam time, where you may be asked to deal with issues of this nature. But if you still do not understand it at all, and the time comes for accountability, you still don't understand it, then so be it. At least I have done my part. Okay, any further question on this?
Prof.
Now,
yes, please.
Yes. Okay, question.
Prof, it means this is coming in the exams, right?
I do
This
not
man,
want. I do not. I do not want to. I do not want to say this categorically. I don't want to say categorically because sometimes we professors, the way we behave, we don't understand ourselves. We don't understand ourselves. You can get to the time you are setting the questions and something else will come to your mind and you don't bring some of the things you think you will be bringing. So I don't want to say categorically, but you need to study and understand it. Once you understand it and it comes, then it's to your advantage. If it doesn't come to you, don't lose anything anyway. At least you understand it. You see, maybe one day, Some of you may be in the industry, but you want to do some part-time teaching and you understand this, and then they say, come and teach data warehousing. Then you go and teach it somewhere, or you never know. Maybe you don't even use it in the office, but maybe even if you don't use it at all, it gives you a better understanding of something. And of course, knowledge is power. So even if you don't use it, you get the knowledge. Okay. Any further questions on this? The next thing I can ask you here is to tell me the output that will come out from this command. So you can look on this command like we did the first one, where you will say that it will give me this total. This one, you can realize that we have two grouping factors, city and genre. So you need to think through carefully and see what will be the output of from this program when three tables are joined this way. That one I will not walk through it together. And of course, if a query of this nature is given, and then you are supposed to look on the data and then tell us what will be the output, you should be able to tell us because you understand the query. So you know, one thing very good about our discipline. Our discipline is such that to a large extent we don't memorize, but we understand, which is good. Okay, any further questions of clarification that you may want to seek before I say bye-bye to this class? Maybe the next time I will see you will be next semester. Okay.
Hello, Prof. Okay, please, my question is not directly related to today's class. It's about the uploading of the assignments on Sakai.
What is the question?
Yes, I mean, you extended the date, but
so I'll be resetting the date because I did not reset the date. It may be seen as the time has long overdue.
Yes.
So I'll be extending the date and then we put it on the 19th. I'm sure that's the date that we put it, if I'm not mistaken.
19th February.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Is that not where it was 19th, I think?
Yes, please.
Yes,
19th February.
Yes, please. Yes,
yes,
please.
So
yes, please.
Yes. No, am I mistaken?
That was
19th February. Oh, why 19th? January is past.
It was supposed to be 19th January.
Yes, and you shifted it to 19th February.
So you can do it 19th February.
No, I don't think it was February.
It's the end of the month.
It's the end of this month that I shifted it to.
Prof,
it's never
this
never
is
the end of the month. It's never the end of the month. It's second February.
Prof,
do it
Prof, this is bright. Please, 2nd February.
Okay, sincerely speaking, was it not 19th January that I put it?
Yes,
it was
19th.
19th.
Yes, so what I will do
I extended it to 2nd because you don't want it to crash with exams. 2nd February.
So no, what you would do is to, since the time has passed, and I did not set the time for you, I'll put it on 26th of January for you to. If you don't submit this and you are keeping it, it will even affect you.
Today's 27th.
Today 27th.
Today's 27th.
Oh, excuse me, Prof.
And then we can make it on the 30th.
The thing Prof said on the 2nd February.
Hello,
That's what
Prof.
he said.
Prof, please, this
Prof
is
to settle.
Right. Prof, this is the bright. The other day I discussed with you in the class, and we placed it on the 2nd of February, which was a weekend. That's what we discussed in the class. So we're expecting that to open before this so that we can do it in before the 2nd, please.
Okay. I wouldn't mind the 2nd because normally I make provision for you to work on these final things and submit over the weekend.
Okay.
Because some of you might be busy guys during the weekday or something. So I can give that allowance so that Saturday, Sunday, you finish putting it together and submit it on the 2nd. So I will reset the time to second so
Okay.
that you can all post your assignments on. If you post it earlier, it also gives me time to mark. You see, that's the main reason. If you come and put it later on, it puts a lot of pressure on me because your numbers are quite large and the work is bulky.
Prof,
Okay, so
so
that
will we see?
Thank you.
So, Prof, will we see our marks on Sakai?
marks.
The marks. I mean,
If we do if you do multiple choice, that is easier for us on Sakai. But because if it is AC,
no, I mean,
you have to read and
Prof,
enter
I mean
the
the
AC
assignment.
mark on Sakai. Assignment. That's what I'm talking about. The marks on assignment. The marks on assignment, they are all what? They are AC. They are all AC. They are not multiple choice. So if I have to read your work, come and grade it on Sakai, go and grade it in the MIS, I'm afraid it's so you will see your mark on the MIS, but not on Sakai. If it were multiple choice, it would have been easier.
So some of us who submitted the course earlier, can we see ours on MI?
Oh, the point is, if we do not put all together, we don't send a portion of it to MIS. The MIS doesn't allow us to enter only the continuous assessment. We put all of them there together.
Prof, your students, I mean the people you are leading them to for their project work.
Yeah.
Our
That's
meeting has never happened.
Yes.
That's the next announcement I want to make. I'm meeting all my students on Thursday, 7 o'clock, to start something reasonable now. I will take you through where to start, what you should be doing, and so forth. So our meeting will be this Thursday, 7 o'clock. Just after your exam, just after your exam, just after the exam, we will have another meeting. Then that will take you during the holidays. You can be doing, you can really work during the holidays. So 7, I think
online or physical meeting.
Take your time for the man to land there.
Online.
Okay, thank you.
Prof, is this a physical meeting or an online one?
Oh, no, let's do the online one now to get started.
Thank you, sir.
When it becomes necessary, we can, of course, it will become necessary along the line. Then we can do a physical meeting as well.
Yeah, Prof.
So Thursday, all my students will join
the that you co-supervise, the student that you co-supervise.
Yes, those are co-supervised. That's the MPhil students. Do I co-supervise any MPhil students? I think they are one or two.
Yes,
Once
please.
I co-supervise, you are my students. We are my students. You should join. You have to join.
Okay, Prof. Thank you.
So the link will be shared by my TA will share the link, and we will meet on Thursday, 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay.
Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Prof, please, concerning the assignment on Sakai. So, for those of us who have already submitted, after the reset of the dates, is it possible we could resubmit?
Yes, I would I would enable the resubmit option.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Once I enable the resubmit option, you can submit so that you are not cheated.
Okay,
thank you. Prof, please. What you took us through right now, do we have it in any slides that are uploaded in the resources, please?
That's what I was saying. Somebody asked this question. I say you can even check right away and tell me because I put it there last Thursday.
That is there. It's there.
Okay.
It's there. It should be there. I put it there last Thursday.
All right, thank you.
Prof.
Prof,
So
the
on this
nature
note,
of the
Prof,
exams.
structure. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
structure of the exams.
I think I spoke about that the other day, that I will set 4 questions. Then Dr. Anson will
Okay.
also set 4 questions because he is teaching the Sunday cohort. Then it will not be indicated who said which question, but you will only read all the 8 questions, answer any 4. And that is it.
So
Do you understand that?
Prof.
Yes.
That means you are not treating us well.
Why? You are even being treated better because you are having 8 questions to answer for.
We should answer
well,
all the
if
4.
I were to no, we are teaching from the same syllabus, and then we are giving you 8 questions. Then to give you 5 answer 4.
So if you should answer any 4, then we are conversant with what you are teaching us. So
It's the same syllabus. It's the same syllabus that we are using. So all that he has taught, you should be able to answer even the 4 from there. So we are giving as many as it. It's the same syllabus, so you could even answer his questions all the 4.
Hey, Prof.
Prof, can you reduce it to 3? Can you reduce it to 3?
Oh no, we are not
Prof,
going
Prof. Oh, Prof, this one there. Prof, is like you setting 4 questions and say we should answer 4.
Yes.
It's not that. It's 8 questions. 8 questions. When JHS people, let me tell you one thing. Even your children who are writing the JHS exams, and then the person who taught them and not the person who said the questions, then they go and write. So if, for instance, I do not even teach you, and then Dr. Ansom said the questions, I mean, somebody teaches and somebody can set the questions.
But Prof,
So
if it's the same thing, if it's the same thing as what you, if it's the same thing, then I think that shouldn't be a problem.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing. Actually, the same thing. The same. We follow the same. We use the same textbook, the same syllabus. But because we were a little bit compassionate, thinking that maybe teaching styles may differ, somebody may use some other examples, another person may not use, and then so forth. We make it even rather flexible for you.
Prof, can I ask some? Prof. Hello, Prof. Please,
Yes.
this one there is my humble plea. You know, because I don't know if you can maybe give is part of the outline. You see, when we started, the book we're using
What part of the which outline?
The course outline. When we started, okay, we were at a point we were skipping some of the chapters.
Those chapters that I skip are not on the course outline.
Okay.
The book has several chapters, about 20-something chapters, and I told you that we are not going to treat all those chapters. So the ones that we needed were on the course outline.
Yes, please. So we should focus only on those ones.
Yeah, that's all. We are not reading everything from the textbook. If you want to do that later, then it's your own issue.
Yes, please.
Okay, on this note, we have exhausted more than 1.5 hours. I told you maximum time we should be here should be 1.5 hours. Now we have exhausted 1 hour 34 minutes. We extend it by 4 minutes, and therefore we should be ending it here. If you have any further issues to discuss with me, I'm still available, and then I can address further concerns as we go along. So on this note, thank you very much. At least this class, you've comported yourselves well. to a large extent. So we'll meet again. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience, everything.
Thank you, Prof.
Right.